Hi everyone, this is Caitlin from grassfedgirl.com, and we're here today with my little sister, Ellen Weeks. She has been carnivore for how long?
Almost 2 years.
Yeah, so almost 2 years, and she has a lot of wisdom to share with us. She is a mother of two and a stay-at-home working mom. She taught me how to be carnivore, so she is just an inspiration that you guys are going to love. So we have a lot of questions, so let's get started. Welcome, Ellen.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Well, I'm so glad you could make the time for us. So what led you to getting started on carnivore?
Well, the beginning started after I had my second son, John Henry, and I had been working for years on trying to figure out some digestive issues that I was having, and I had been eating paleo and keto for basically almost 10 years. And had alleviated a lot of problems. But after the birth of my second son, they flared up again. I couldn't really digest vegetables. I got stomach aches after meals, heartburn, bloating. Just was not feeling well in general. It felt like every time I ate, I was in pain. So it was just really frustrating. My husband at the time had been reading a lot about carnivore, and he was like, I really think you should try this because this has really helped a lot of people. And I really couldn't even believe he was telling me to not eat vegetables because it just seemed like that is what you have to do to be healthy. Um, and so, but he showed me this video from Low Carb Down Under, where a doctor, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, um, but he had done a research study or had read about a research study, and he was presenting on it, on where all these people with this huge array of digestive issues have been put on a zero carb diet, which is basically carnivore, and all of their digestive issues were alleviated. So I thought, well, it's worth a shot because I'll try anything at this point because I really needed some help. And I was a huge vegetable lover. My favorite vegetables are like the hardest to digest, like Brussels sprouts, cabbage, purple cabbage, broccoli, all those. So to give those up was really hard. But as soon as I tried it, within about a week or two, all of my problems had subsided. And so I just really never looked back after that.
And did you have any other benefits?
Yeah, I had a lot of things, as I went along, I realized that more and more things were alleviated that I didn't even really realize were kind of plaguing me. For example, like I pretty much got rid of period cramps completely. I used to have horrible, horrible migraines every single time I had a period, and now those are really sporadic. Like it used to be just like guaranteed I would always get a horrible migraine the first or second day of my period, and then that completely went away. Um, I used to have, of course, like bloating and heartburn, and a lot of that went away. And just like the weight fluctuations, like that you experience eating, paleo or keto, I felt like I was always kind of 5 pounds up, 5 pounds down, and not really feeling that great. Of course, I got rid of a lot of brain fog, a lot of my energy improved. And then another thing that was huge for me was pretty much all of my seasonal allergies went away. I used to always uh, I used to take Allegra as a child, then like Claritin in college, and I'm trying to think of them, Zyrtec, things like that, and like as soon as March hit in Tennessee's horrible for allergies. I was just basically like always having tissue by my bed. I would have like flare-ups at night about seasonal allergies, things like that. And I realized the other day that like I haven't had Kleenex by my bed in 2 years. So that is a huge thing that has been a big improvement that I've realized recently.
No, did it help with baby weight?
Oh yeah, I was able to I had gained a significant amount of weight after Samson, my firstborn child, and had lost some of it on keto and doing fasting and things like that, but then had crept up there again. My weight had crept up again. And so I really was eating as much as I wanted on carnivore, eating carnivore foods. And I shed like 30 pounds without really doing anything hard or strict or anything like that. So that was obviously a huge bonus.
Did you have to go kill yourself at the gym or?
No, I don't think I exercised one bit. Besides like running after children and playing and stuff. Um, especially in that first 3 or 4 months of doing carnivore, I was definitely not doing any sort of strict exercise at all.
So that's amazing because I mean, I know so many people struggle with that after they have a baby, they can't, and then they don't have the time to get to the gym or they don't have childcare or, I mean, not that the gym is some panacea, but that's what we're taught by our culture. So, uh, and then starving yourself, of course. So how many calories do you think you were eating when you were first doing carnivore?
I had to eat a lot and all the time. And obviously I was breastfeeding too, but like I'm sure I ate at least 3,000 or 3,500 calories a day.
No, what about breastfeeding? Just a lot of people say it lowers your amount of milk and stuff. Did you find that?
I didn't find that. What it did help for me is that a lot of times with Samson, um, my first child, I always woke up in pain, like super engorged breasts and like really painful. And I didn't have any of that with John Henry at all. And also John Henry gained weight, I think almost better than Samson as far as his growth charts at the pediatrician and things like that. Samson had a little bit of a dip at the beginning. Um, and we had to work really hard to breastfeed him enough. But with John Henry, he just ate and ate and ate, um, and we had no problems with that.
Yeah, he's always been a big eater.
He has.
And he grew faster and he's taller. I
Good,
mean,
yeah.
taller sooner.
Right.
Um, so what is your typical day of eating?
Um, my eating seems to be pretty regular and to me seems pretty boring, especially if there's just not a lot of variety. I mean, I don't want a lot of variety. I eat a lot of my mornings are usually eggs. I make really buttery scrambled eggs or really buttery omelet and put some cheese in it. I usually eat around like 9, 10, 11 is my first meal of the day. And then usually my second meal of the day can be as early as 3 if I'm hungry again, or as late as 5. But I usually have a meal somewhere in that period. And that's usually burgers, grilled burgers, pan fried burgers, 80/20 ground beef is my favorite. And then, or sausages, or like, I like canned fish a lot. I like sardines, canned salmon. Trying to think. Oh, sometimes I make wings, but most of the time it is burgers and eggs, burgers and eggs, burgers and eggs.
Because I mean, since there's four of you, you gotta be on a budget, right?
Right.
What are some of your
Go ahead.
budgeting tips for your family?
I think getting your family loving eggs and then learning how to make really great eggs is a really good way, and egg dishes is a really good way to stretch your budget. And then also, ground beef is about the cheapest you can get as far as high quality, pure beef. And also, you having a good high fat, having a good amount of fat in your ground beef, like at least 80/20, 75/25. That's 80% lean, 20% fat, 75% lean, 25% fat. Finding those kind of ground beefs are going to be much more satiating, It's going to stretch longer. If you eat a pound of 80-20 ground beef, you will be very, very full. Your kids will be really full if they eat a 80-20 burger patty, things like that. So I think if you can get into ground beef, and then if you don't like ground beef, then looking for things like canned fish. Pork is also really inexpensive. Ground pork and then sausage. Pork roasts like pork butts. Chuck roasts or beef. All those are really inexpensive ways to get like very satiating meat very affordably. Because like I think, especially with carnivore, for me, the most success is eating fatty meat, not meat with fat on it. There is a difference.
Added
Yeah,
fat.
if you like add fat to something, like if you eat 90% ground beef, 90% lean ground beef, and you put a pat of butter on it, or like a chicken breast with a pat of butter on it, it's just not as satiating as the fatty meat, where the meat and the fat are cooked together, and it comes in its natural form. There's something about it. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely more satiating.
That's so true. So what about now a lot of moms suffer with postpartum kind of moodiness or sadness. Did you have that?
I didn't have that with John Henry, but I mean, I think there was a lot of things working for me for this postpartum time for me. I had a really kind of wild time with Samson's birth, and I ended up having unexpected surgery right after his birth, and like some trauma there. And so the road to postpartum mental health, like getting back to like a positive mental health, took a very long time with Samson because of that. So I was really fully prepared to feel exactly that same way after I had John Henry. And after I had John Henry's birth was one like seamless. Like
It's
I
like
started having like I was in labor for like 3 or 4 hours or something, from like the beginning of contractions to he was in my arms. So it was super fast. I had no tearing, um, anything like that. So it
you
was.
went,
Oh,
you
and
went
I
back
was.
home. You went
Yeah,
back home right away.
yeah. I went back home right away because we had a baby at a birth center called Baby and Company, and um, and I was so elated that nothing bad had happened, and that I was not in any pain. I could get up and walk around and cook and all this stuff. So I had kind of a different experience um,
Yep.
than like just two kind of regular births or whatever. So for me, the postpartum time with John Henry was a breeze because I just was so grateful that everything had gone fine, and he slept better than Samson. I mean, everything was just seemed so easy with John Henry.
And you were like, what is everybody talking about? Like this is what everybody's talking about. Like
Right. Yeah, people would always talk to me about how great like the newborn period was, and I was just like, I like, because with Samson that wasn't my experience, because I mean I was healing for a long time after Samson, so I couldn't even get off the couch or get out of bed for parts of it because I couldn't move. So so I was just like, no, this isn't. How can you think this is a great time? But with John Henry, I understood what they were talking about.
yeah. Well, they were both so cute.
Yeah, oh, great, beautiful boys.
Not that we're biased or anything.
Right.
So one thing you've taught me a lot about is electrolytes. I mean, I know a lot of people, so we did a coaching group in January and we had a lot of people struggling with their electrolytes, and Ellen has a lot of stuff to teach people and share about that because she's the electrolyte master, the
Yeah.
electrolyte whisperer.
Right. Yeah. Um, well, I think people, for one, even in just daily life, not carnivore related at all, people really overestimate how hydrated they are. I think that I fully believe that the world would be better off if people really took it seriously, and worked on their hydration as like a core piece of their wellness plan. There's, that old adage of 64 ounces of water a day. That's 8-ounce glasses of water, which for some people is probably good. 120-pound female who's not very active, perfect amount of water probably. But the percentage of water that is more recommended now by medical professionals is like ounces, half of your body weight in ounces of water. So if you're 200 pounds, you should be drinking 100 ounces of water. That's a lot more than 64 ounces. Okay, so if you're 160 pounds, you should be drinking 80 ounces of water at least, and especially if you are active or anything like that. But the other piece of that with carnivore that is really hard is that you dehydrate really fast on carnivore. You have nothing, all like carbs in your body. When you have carbs, it like fills your muscles, fill up, and your glycogen, isn't your your glycogen stores like fill up with water, and like your muscles fill up with water because you have all that those carbohydrates in your body. But when you're carnivore, you do not have that. Your body does not soak up water like that at all. So if you are not making it a point to get hydrated, you have to do that in order to feel good. And in order to really I believe to really be hydrated on carnivore, you really have to take salt you really have to consider salt as a food group, as part of your carnivore regimen. If you are not salting your food heavily, if you're not considering putting some salt in your water or taking some salt on your tongue, that is something that I think is hugely beneficial for people on carnivore to help you stay hydrated. And I think so many people, again, on carnivore, especially, they really overestimate how much water they've had, how hydrated they are. They think, well, I've had, a lot of water and I still feel terrible. Well, there's a problem. You're either not eating enough or you're not drinking enough water / consuming electrolytes in some way. And I do think it's really important, like if you're trying to look for, I am a big proponent of not buying electrolyte powders. They're expensive. They often don't give you enough electrolytes in like the amount that you really need in a day. There's most of the products out there, the percentage that they're giving you is so tiny for like the scoop that they're providing. I looked at one the other day and it was like 2% of your potassium. And it's like for a scoop, that's 1 cup of water. It's just not enough. And so people think that they're getting enough electrolytes. They think they're getting enough sodium in those powders and things like that. But when you really look at the like recommended daily amount, they're not anywhere close to what you probably should be consuming to stay hydrated while you're doing carnivore. And so I really recommend taking salt. I love real salt. That's my favorite brand. It tastes the best. Tastes the best on food to me. It also is, made in the U.S., which is nice. And all the real salt people are really fun. And then taking light salt, which is like Morton's light salt. It's a mix of salt and potassium. So you're getting those two. And then taking a dose, like if you feel like you need it, taking a dose of magnesium before bed, magnesium citrate. Super. I think all those, if you can get all of those, you don't have to do it every single day. But if you're not feeling well, I would really consider taking them every single day. And feeling well, what I mean by not feeling well is like malaise, fatigue, constipation, headache, cravings. If you're feeling anything, those are like the big ones I can think of off the top of my head that are plaguing a lot of people often. And if you're feeling any of those, then you probably need electrolytes. Or you're not eating enough.
You're just in a bad mood even.
Yeah. Like sometimes I'll feel terrible. I'll think, what is wrong with me? It must be like getting my period, or I'm so depressed. I don't know what's wrong with me. And then I'll drink like 2 big cups of electrolyte water, and then I'll be completely fine again and realize it was just like a water hydration issue.
Yeah, I mean, when I hear hydration, I just think of water. But what you really mean is a combination of electrolytes and water, because water is not going to do it on carnivore. You have to have more than that.
Yeah. And I mean, some people, they say they don't need to supplement with salt. Like they feel totally great and totally fine, like great. They have regular digestion. And that's great. Like some people don't need it, but I have not found that to be true for me or most people that I know who are doing carnivore, especially when you first get started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take it, just go ahead and take it for the first month or 2 months, and then you can always cut back if you don't feel like it's necessary.
Right.
Um, so now you have had some new health issues or some new ailments pop up. Now,
Yeah.
one is related, one is related to a car accident you had a while ago.
Right. Mm-hmm.
What about that?
I had a car accident about, I guess it's about 10 years ago now. And I got in a car accident and my cheekbone hit the window really hard. And I didn't even really realize that it caused any trouble. I just knew this was really sore. But then about a few, like a week or two, I can't remember exactly, but a little while later, like long enough that I was shocked that I would had pain. I could not open my mouth. It was painful to chew. I could not smile, laugh, anything. And I went to my dentist who was like, "Oh, you need to get your wisdom teeth out." And I was like, "I want to go get a second opinion." And because it was like back here. So he was like, "Oh, I guess that's what it is." And he wasn't the greatest dentist. But anyway, I went to a who was it? What is Loken's guard called?
Like a functional, I don't know, like a holistic dentist.
Holistic dentist. I went to a holistic dentist that someone recommended. And he asked me way more questions. He was like, "Do you have some trauma to this area at all?" And I was like, "Well, actually, I got in a car accident a month ago." And he was like, "That's it. That's what your problem is." Because what you're talking about is exactly uh, what's happening. And he was like, you could go through lots of treatment and mouth guards and things like that, but if you just rest it, um, it'll go away, which has mostly been true. Only in the last few years have I had more flare-ups with the jaw than in the past, but that is because of what I suspect is because of another diagnosis that I got last spring. Um, can we talk about that
Well,
too?
start with what you thought it was at first. And
Oh,
what?
so first, I've been I've been struggling with my nails for also about, I don't know, a long time, 8 or 9 years or something like that. I went and worked on a goat dairy farm in North Carolina, and my hands were like in water all the time. And so they're wet all the time, like dealing with the goats and milking and things like that. So I came home from that and I started having like 1 or 2 nails started feeling brittle, like and pulling away from the nail bed and kind of falling apart, and they were painful. My fingernails were painful. And I thought, oh, it's just because of working with the goats. Like I've got like nail fungus or something. And I tried lots of different holistic things. So for years, I was like, that's one reason I went paleo and keto and like was really working to eliminate sugar from my diet because I was told, it's fungus, just get rid of the fungus,
Candida.
candida. Um, so I did that and really no improvement at all. Um, I tried, oregano oil and different essential oils and things like that. And sometimes it would help, but like nothing really remarkable. And the pain was probably the most hard part because, like, it's really bad on my index fingers and my thumbs, which are like the two most, those fingers you really need. And it started feeling almost like a little bit of a disability because I couldn't like open things. I had to get like people to help me open stuff. I couldn't do anything with like really like strong fine motor skills, like were really hard, and that felt terrible. So last year and then after I had Samson, I finally was like, whatever, I'll just try an antifungal. I had been like trying really hard to avoid that, the like internal ones, and I can't remember what it's called. It's the one that like
Lamisil?
it is, but I can't remember the drug name for it. But it was like you take it internally, and like they're supposed to check your liver. It's like could damage your liver and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, well, whatever, I'll just take it. And I was done breastfeeding Samson, so I decided to try that, and it did absolutely nothing as well, like absolutely nothing. And then I talked to my doctor again. I was like, obviously this didn't work, so what can I do next? And they really had no answers for me. So then last spring, I think it was last spring, maybe it was longer, but anyway, in the last year, like about a year ago, I finally went to a different dermatologist, and he took one look at my fingernails and he was like, do you have lower back pain? And I was like, actually, yes. And he was like, he said, do these hurt? And I was like, yeah, they hurt. Like when they're doing really badly, they hurt. And he was like, I think you have psoriatic arthritis. And he's like, well, we're gonna test your nails for fungus and rule that out. And I was like, okay. And I was like completely shocked. I had never even heard of psoriatic arthritis. So I was just like, okay. So they did the test, and I was positive the test would come back like positive for nail fungus, which they tested candida. And so it came back negative. And the dermatologist immediately was like, you need to talk to a rheumatologist. You need to go and get all checked out with them. So then I went to the rheumatologist. We talked all about what was going on, different symptoms I had, the jaw pain flare-ups when I'm stressed out, the lower back pain in the middle of the night after sleeping for a while. I had like kind of feels like arthritic feet sometimes, but very mild. I always thought it was pretty mild. And so they did lots of x-rays, lots of blood tests, and luckily they did see some arthritis in my feet, which is like not uncommon for my age anyway. Like I'm 34, I think 34. And so not real uncommon, but definitely saw it there. But there were no like big, huge red flags that were like, you definitely have psoriatic arthritis, like your body is fighting itself. You definitely, you're having an autoimmune flare up currently. So luckily I didn't have any, really horrible markers for psoriatic arthritis. I just have lots of the symptoms. And of course my fingernails look pretty terrible and they don't have fungus, and there's not really many more explanations for your nails kind of crumbling and falling apart, and the pain associated with that. So pretty sure that is what I have. And but I also can't do much I can't like really they can't get a full scope of testing until I'm done breastfeeding, and John Henry seems to be hanging on for dear life to that. So once that's over, I'll have a whole other kind of workup for it.
But I mean, what if they did? I mean, what kind of treatments do they have if they did? And are you interested in doing those?
The treatments are, I think, you're taking an immunosuppressant and then also steroids for the nails. And I have a really, sorry. One thing about this is when I eat carnivore and get enough sleep and keep my stress level down, I feel great. I have really zero problems with my body, my lower back. My nails feel really good. They don't have the pain associated with them. They haven't really had the extreme pain associated with them since going carnivore. So carnivore has has helped a lot but when I see problems that do concern me are when I have flare-ups, and that's usually attributed to like stress. Like there's a lot going on in my life, and like I get stressed out, slash like not getting enough sleep, and then possibly, eating things that are carnivore cheap foods, like too much Rebel ice cream, or like, I don't know, nuts, which aren't carnivore, but somehow those sneak into my mouth when I'm like feeding the kids and things like that. So it's like that kind of stuff causes a flare, but it's mostly like attributed to some sort of stress, whether that's like digestive stress, sleep, not traveling too much, things like that. So, so
you're really not sure you want to do anything.
Right. So that's the problem, is if they could show me on my blood work and in my x-rays that like this is for sure a picture of you deteriorating, of me deteriorating, then I would probably be more willing to, do some sort of therapy. But the problem is, like, I can't imagine putting myself on some sort of immunosuppressant when I haven't fully ruled out every possible cause of this, like, because I just really don't want to be on an immunosuppressant if I don't have to be.
Well, there's always, I mean, there could be a bad side effect of that.
Right.
That's worse than what's happening now, right?
Right. Yeah, and I don't know much about immunosuppressants, but of course, whenever I read about them, it doesn't sound too great. And then what I worry about is like taking them for 1 or 2 years, and then like I go to a different doctor, and they're like, "You didn't need to be on these at all," and like, "Can you just go off of them?" I mean, I have no idea. It seems like a scary gamble, especially when my blood tests come back totally fine, my X-rays look totally fine. It's hard for me to feel ready to like dive into like the pharmaceutical route just yet.
Yeah, well, and when you feel good when you do everything right, it's kind of like, oh, well, maybe I should just dial that in more.
Right.
And I mean, I know when you have little children, it's hard to take care of yourself. So maybe in a few years it'll be easier.
Right.
Um, so how is it like balancing carnivore with your husband and your kids?
Well, luckily my husband does eat carnivore, or he would prefer to eat pretty much all carnivore. Um, he would loves condiments a little bit more than I do, as far as like tomato, like uh, pizza sauce,
I think
spaghetti sauce.
he should have been an Italian.
Right. Um, so he definitely, depending on your strictness on in your carnivore regimen, you eat condiments or not. But he is very happy and prefers to just eat meat and cheese, and carnivore friendly foods. Um, and so as far as like ease with my husband, it's very easy. He loves meat, and he would prefer to just eat meat, um, uh, you know, every meal. But with the kids, I try to focus on protein first. I mean, my thing I say to them all the time is like, you've got to eat your meat first. You've got to eat your protein first. And so they eat a lot of the same proteins that we do, like burgers and eggs. But I'll definitely throw in like grain-free, like paleo muffins for them as quick breakfast.
They eat
Like,
fruit.
yeah, lots of like they eat a lot of berries. Frozen fruit, blueberries is one of their favorite things. And then a lot of times I will like make soup, and both kids love soup, and like I can throw vegetables in that, or puree vegetables into it and things like that if I want to.
They love egg loaf.
Yeah, they love egg loaf. They love egg loaf, sausage egg loaf. They love scrambled eggs. Um, and then they both love burgers and bacon, so that's good too. It's easy to get protein in them. for the most part.
And I mean, they're not very picky.
No, I mean, Samson is definitely, I mean, Samson's like any kid where, like, if there's the choice between like a burger patty and a cupcake, a beautiful, colorful cupcake, he's going to be like, yeah, cupcake. Um, and then John Henry, he like came out of the womb a carnivore, I guess, because he just really doesn't like carbs or like things that are too sweet at all. Like, I gave him something the other day. Oh, you know, like the Publix, they give like free cookies out. And like Samson thinks that's the greatest thing in the entire world. And like, no, I don't think that's the greatest snack at all, but like he'll have one every once in a while. And John Henry will get one too. He'll take one bite and then like give it back to me and be like, have it. But I will say that ever since doing, because Samson was certainly not born into a carnivore house by any means. We ate pretty good amount of like paleo like carbs before he was born. But I will say that because he does not eat a lot of sugar, he eats a lot of protein. Like, you know, his diet is rich in proteins and fats. When he does, like his preference is to eat like something that is more like protein and fatty rich. And he is aware at 5 years old, he's like a lot more aware of when he eats sugar, like how it feels. You know, he'll take a few bites of something that's sugary and he'll be like, this is too much sugar, and he'll give it back to me. So
Say that.
yeah, he said that. Yes, he said that often. Like, so I think it's a really, like, I really encourage parents to try and eliminate as much extra sugar in their diet, in the way that they're feeding their kids, because I do think it is hugely beneficial to eat a lower carb diet for your kids and for yourself.
Absolutely. All right, so a lot of people are worried about weight loss. Do you have any tips for them?
I think that one of the hardest part with carnivore and weight loss is eating enough and taking it seriously, taking the idea of eating to satiation seriously, because it just is so antithetical to everything most people have ever been taught, is like, eat as much as you want and then stop, you know. And I know that I can eat about 400 biscuits or something, and I probably still wouldn't feel satiated. But I cannot eat like 4 steaks and not feel completely sick and stuffed. So I think, you know, you have to. I think it's really hard for people to really eat as much as they want and stop. Like, that idea is really hard. And so if you can try and eat as much as you want of carnivore foods like ground beef, chuck eye, a steak, something like that, and eat as much as you can until you're satiated and then stop. If you really follow that pattern, it'll be very easy. I find very easy weight loss, if that's something that you're wanting. So if you can really focus on that satiation factor and really hone in on it, meditate on it, drink your electrolytes with your meals, not with milk, you know, throughout the day. Like, you can really dial in on that, like eating as much until you're full. It makes the like weight loss with carnivore very a lot easier.
Yeah, I think that it displaces the opportunity to eat other crap if you
Right.
do what you said, and then also you won't be able to get hungry and then make a bad choice because you're already full.
Right, exactly.
All right, so I understand you wrote a book about carnivore that you liked it so much.
Oh yeah. So, you know, for my sister and I, we had been struggling with blood sugar issues and, you know, weight loss for years and years since we were little. We've been in weight loss programs and things like that to cure our carbohydrate addict carbohydrate and sugar addictions and things like that. So when I tried carnivore and I could eat as much as I wanted and feel great and weight just flew out the window, I thought, I've made it. Like, this has solved so many problems that I have been struggling with for 30 years. 31, I don't know how old I was at the time, but 32. And it solved so many issues. So I just thought, this is so, and people, no one talks about, at the time when we started, like, no one was talking about it. There weren't like carnivore superstars or anything like that. So it was just kind of, it seems so revolutionary, especially for people who battle like, fluctuating weight and blood sugar issues and things like that. So I thought, like, this has to be something that other people would benefit from. And then when Kaylin decided to try it, I remember when she started, she was like, I'm only doing this for 30 days. And I was like, okay, but I think you're gonna love it. And after 30 days, like, she didn't look back either. And and we got together and we're like, we've got to share this with people, like, because this is hugely helpful for people, especially women. I feel like women are all messed up with what they eat and like their blood sugar and their mood and everything like that, their hormones, all kinds of stuff. So we were like, we've got to share this. Let's write a book about it. And because we've got to write a book about it and we've got to share this information. And we decided to do it for we created the book, the 30-Day Carnivore Diet Challenge. And we said, let's put a challenge to people to do it for 30 days. Because if people try for 30 days and they really do it, they will feel some improvement in their health. And we want to help people find that. And we also, like, Caitlin especially has been promoting a healthy lifestyle, like, trying to figure out the best lifestyle diet for your health for years and years. And so have I, but like not on the internet world. And so it's like we have worked so hard to figure out a good plan. And this is definitely something that benefited us and that we really wanted to share with people so that they could benefit from it. And the 30 days is the perfect amount of time to try it and really see some improvements.
So what are some key highlights of the book?
Well, we have a lot of really great, simple, truly carnivore recipes, which makes life a lot easier when you're trying this out. We have a really great list of rules. Some people don't like the word rules, but, a list of guidelines that really help. Like, if you are struggling, yeah, here's my before and after. That's Samson in the left. I was eating keto. By the way, I was like eating keto and like ballooned up like 40 pounds. Like gained a ton of weight on keto, like trying to like lose weight. People cannot, they're telling you to eat as much fat bombs as you can. I'll show you how many I could eat. But that's the rules, and the rules are really great. That's a huge highlight, and it's something you can print off and you put in your kitchen if you're trying carnivore. Because if you look at that list, like every time you're struggling or every time you hit a bump in the road, if you look at that list and you look at those guidelines and you aren't doing all of them, that's where you go to like figure out where you need to tweak something to probably help you keep going. Oh, and also, if you're like my husband is a traveler, he travels for work, and the meal plans in there that are like just on the go, grab and go, it just makes it so that like if you have to travel and all of a sudden you're away from your kitchen, you're not in your normal, you don't have a kitchen in your hotel room, something like that. Like it gives you some options that are just like easy, quick, like no-brainer ways to still eat carnivore when you're on the go. And I find that to be really helpful, especially for, everybody's busy and going all over the place nowadays. Not nowadays, I guess, but pre-coronavirus, everyone was all over the place.
Yeah, here's one of the recipes. The pot roast.
Or pot roast.
It has
There's
gravy with
there's no
no,
or flours or anything. It's just pure gravy, beef gravy.
I think it's called, in French, it's a velouté, I think. That's what
So
my husband, that's what my husband said. She's got her electrolyte drink in there.
oh yeah.
So everybody needs to make that. And
You get the book. I mean, if you have the book now, or you get the book and you find the electrolytes, if you find the electrolytes too salty or not salty enough or something like that, then feel free to lower or up the amounts of the salt, and the light salt, because it's okay to fool around with the recipe some if it works better for you.
and then so we have a shopping list.
Yeah, we have a bunch of resources and shopping lists, and then especially
This is the cook at home meal plan, and then we also have the travel meal plan. That's what she was talking about before.
right. And we also have a lot of really good resources, especially would be really helpful right now. There's lots of resources about like like delivered meat delivery, which is really good right now because you can't get to the grocery store as much as you may need to. So that's a good way.
Mail order options for food delivery and then meat delivery. And then we have a grocery store page all about what you can get at the grocery store. Then we have supplements. Also, this is a page of everybody in carnivore. So if you want more resources, everybody we could think of anyway, other recipe books. So we put every single thing we could possibly think of in here. And we have testimonials from your friends like Chris and Sarah from, Loris Bash and Sarah Kleiner, Carnivore Yogi. So we have lots of testimonials about carnivore. And we even have tips about getting toxins out of your home and hormone suggestions for nursing and hormone balancing. Anything else you can think of in there?
I think I just can't reiterate enough, like trying to eat as much as you can, carnivore foods, and then, really taking your hydration seriously, taking electrolytes seriously. I think that, electrolytes and meat, you really need to take those seriously, and that will help you immensely doing carnivore, especially when you first get started.
Yeah, really, we go back to the basics in the book, and even if you've been doing carnivore a while, it's good to check back in, and maybe some of those things have slid, and that's why you're feeling crappy again. I know for me, it's been really hard during this time of isolation, but I know that if I let myself slip, it's only going to get worse. So I know that staying carnivore is like the only thing keeping me sane right now.
Yeah.
With all the news and everything. So, so any final words, Ellen, and where can everybody find you? Like, give some motivational tips, and then where can everybody find you?
I am at Ellen is Hangry on Instagram, and also a website, ellenweeks.com. I've got lots of tips on my Instagram, and I post stories about what I'm doing with the kids, and then like as a carnivore, low carb family, I've got lots of helpful tips on there and share about our life. And then motivational things, I think that, it's the same. It's what you hear all the time, like you've got to do it in order for it to work. You've got to really commit, you've got to really do it. And then I think also in that same vein, like if you have a bad day, a bad meal, a bad snack that, like, you know, it wasn't the best choice, like, don't give up. Just start over at the next meal. You know, don't let one little slip up derail everything that you've invested in trying this out. So I think that, you know, you've just got to pick yourself up and keep going. And then also, if something's not working, you've got to look back at those rules, look back at recipes, look for recipes, look in our book for different recipes that are going to, you know, be very carnivore, very clean, and mix it up some. You know, if you're feeling like you can't possibly eat any more ground beef, look for some other source of food that's gonna, you know, get you through that kind of plateau, that hurdle. So just keep, like, don't ever give up. Just keep kind of tweaking things. You know, spice up your diet with some seafood, fresh seafood if you haven't had that, things like that. So just keep tweaking things every day. I have to do that all the time with, like, electrolytes, with my diet, with the you know, what meats that we choose, things like that. I'm always tweaking it and figuring out what's going to work better, what's going to make me feel better and work better.
Absolutely. So where can people get the book?
You can go to carnivore30.info. That is where our book is and all the info about it. And there's lots of great info on that website that'll help you understand what's in the book, pictures, everything like that. And also that is where you can buy the book as well.
Carnivore30.info. Awesome. And then Ellen can buy more steaks for her family. Her favorite is chuck eye.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, well, I'm so glad you could come on and make the time. I know it's hard to get your kids out of your hair, so we really appreciate it. And we will see you soon. Thanks so much. Love you. Bye.